What's going on, guys? My name is John and welcome back to yet another video. At the beginning of this year, I completed the insane challenge of catching every single shiny Pokemon from the Sinnoh region, which was by far one of the most tedious and difficult challenges that I've ever taken on.
Throughout the insanely unique methods, unlucky moments, and especially the length of the Gen 4 shiny decks, it's fair to say that I took on a pretty daunting challenge. But to be honest with you, this was nothing compared to the other regions that I had ahead of me.
After taking a small break from the last region, I decided to pursue a complete Pokedex of every shiny Pokemon from Generation 5, which became the most absurd and also the longest section so far of this adventure. And this is how it went. As you probably know by now, I'm trying to complete a shiny living Pokedex, which essentially requires me to obtain one of each individual shiny Pokemon across the entire franchise. The 5th generation of Pokemon introduced a whopping 156 new species, which to this day is the largest addition that the franchise has ever seen, and going into this, I knew that it was going to take a long time just off the sheer volume of what needed to be obtained, but I think it's fair to say that this entire journey had a little bit of Fiona love sprinkled all the way through. As you can imagine, with hunts like Darkrai, Arceus, and especially that hunt in the past, walking into another gen with a substantially larger Pokedex wasn't exactly the greatest feeling, but at this point, I feel like I'd really improved on my abilities with certain methods, but most importantly, I already had one completed. Because I'd spent the previous couple of weeks catching every Violet Pokemon before getting a single badge, I was able to combine that with the rest of my catches in Pokemon Home to get a pretty insane reward right off the bat.
Alright, and for completing everything, if we click this, we get a shiny Meloetta, the only way to get this Pokemon. Oh, that was it. Absolutely no fanfare whatsoever. It just gets added to your Pokemon Home. That was a little bit underwhelming.
With the first shiny, as well as the first mythical Pokemon added to my home collection, I was ready to actually set out on my first hunt in my adventure, and I knew just where I wanted to begin. Because I like treating these challenges as if I were starting a brand new save file, I decided that it would make the most sense to begin with tracking down a shiny starter, but this time, I had a new method that I wanted to try out. While the Generation 5 games have pretty fast and unique starter selections that I'm sure are all enjoyable hunts, one aspect of the Johto challenge that I really enjoyed was the fact that you had no idea what shiny starter you were going to get first. Because all of them appear at the same time, Heart Gold and Soul Silver were unpredictable, and the possibility of finding 36 crocodiles before finding a single yellow pair was terrifying, but also exciting. Unfortunately this day, the concept of this shiny hunt has never been replicated, but that doesn't mean that we can't get creative. Welcome to Scarlet and Violet. Despite these games removing the ability to shiny hunt your starter Pokemon, they made it possible to obtain them through breeding and hatching eggs. An experience that I'm sure you can imagine is something I'm very eager to jump right into. While this does sound like another Masuda method hunt, these games added a new feature from the others that changes everything. You can farm eggs for all 3 starters at the same time. By having a picnic open with Ditto and whatever collection of Pokemon you want to breed, you can essentially receive a random assortment of eggs and treat them as a shiny roulette to see who hatches first. Now I know you're probably thinking, even with the randomness factor in mind, why would I hunt them this way when I can just hop right into the terrarium and get the entire line in one day?
And while it's hard to argue this doesn't take significantly longer than some alternative methods, this entire Living Dex challenge isn't just so I can get it done as fast as possible. I want every Pokemon to feel special, and making sandwiches and running around Paldea isn't memorable enough for me, and quite frankly, way too easy to do. With that being said, I'll definitely want a small reward for some of the more tedious hunts, so I made a hard cap that only 25% of the shinies that I obtain can be from Urban Mystica finds. And while on the surface that may sound like a lot, I used this rule in the last gen, also with Legends Arceus on top of it, and it still took 3 months. So by breeding with a Ditto 4 into the game that you're playing in, each egg has a 1 in 512 chance of being shiny, which is a lot when you consider how long you have to farm to get that many eggs, but it's a lot better than the 1 in 8192 odds that we'd have with Black 2, so I'll take what I can get. To prepare for stream, I farmed a little over 300 eggs, which definitely gives us a good chance to find one on the first day, but even if we don't, I knew that we have plenty of time to gather more with how little time they take to hatch. That was a whopping 20 seconds. Tepig, number 1. And what do we get from this one? Tepig. Egg number 3 surely is something different. What's going on? It's random. It's random. Every time. What is this? Okay, that scared me for a second. That scared me. After getting a few more starters that were actually random, I quickly took care of the first 100 eggs in a little over an hour, and I was pretty confident in how optimized I was making this process so far. That is, until something was brought to my attention. Did you use the same gender starter? If not, there's a possibility that an egg was generated between them instead of Ditto, so it's regular odds. What is bro talking about? Well, the idea of farming multiple different eggs at once is a neat concept. Ditto isn't the only Pokemon that has the ability to produce eggs. Unbeknownst to me at the time, every single one of the Unova starters is in the field egg category. This means that although Ditto would produce eggs for each of these Pokemon, if the starters are different genders, there's a chance that they'll breed with each other instead. While this will still yield an egg, all of the Pokemon I'm using were caught in this game, which means they'll have the same trainer ID and the same language, which means that the Masuda method is only working for the ones that Ditto made, which means that all of the eggs that I prepared— Oh No! That's not true. That didn't happen. That didn't happen because look, male. Oh my God, we're saved. Okay. That could have been so bad.
A few hours later, I managed to go through all the remaining eggs that I collected before stream, and I didn't end up finding anything, but I did manage to farm about 100 more to crack open by the end of stream, and whether or not I actually found something, I knew that I could finish the first day with a pretty impressive amount of progress.
Yeah, I don't think the analog's region locked. Oh, it's definitely not. Not. Oh! Baby! There it is! Our first one, and under odds, dare I say?
With my actual first shiny hunt completed in this challenge, I finished taking care of the rest of the remaining eggs I had stocked up and started day 2 with a fresh new batch. Now I know that realistically we're laying the foundation of this entire endeavor, but let's be honest with ourselves. Shiny hunting is a little uneventful. I can only find so many ways to make a lap around Mesagoza look like a fun roller coaster ride, and as you'd expect, not only does the chat want to get creative, but they also get restless.
Remember that time you had a class?
Don't seem believable. Fellas! It just happens. This is so stupid! This is actually, I'm ill. I'm sick. To my stomach.
With 2 of the 3 stars obtained under odds, it was inevitable. The next hunt was going to be a grind, and to be honest with you, I was kind of okay with that. By this point, I'd only been hunting for a total of 8 hours, so I knew that statistically I was going to be sent on an all-expenses-paid vacation to Circletown, but as I always say, shiny hunting isn't really about the shiny. It's about the journey you take, the jokes and bits you create, and the beautiful bond and memories you create with your community. I'm just playing with you, no one cares about that, here's the shiny.
No way! What is happening? This is exactly what happened last time. Because in Gen 2, what ended up happening is I found every single one. I didn't phase with an additional one. I'm just yapping right now. I'm not even making any sense.
Now, I'll be honest with you, this gave me a huge ego, like maybe too big of an ego. Keep in mind, this all happened in the first 30 minutes of stream. It's not like I was gonna treat it like every other stream and just end and play web fishing until 2 a.m.
Oh wow, frog.
I was on a mission. I decided that I couldn't end my day until I completed the entire line for both Snivy and Tepig. Does that sound insane? In this current situation, absolutely. But I think I have a much better idea. Although I'm currently on a hot streak, I'm smart enough to know that this luck can't last forever, so I decided to make a couple of sandwiches and roam around the terrarium just to see what I could find. Now, to some of you, you might feel that this is baby mode, that I didn't hatch all 9 starters, especially after how quickly we found the first 3, but if you're itching to see some egg hatching, I promise you that we're only scratching the surface. After making a couple of sandwiches, I was able to get an outbreak for Snivy, and quickly found 2 more shinies in a little over an hour. Tepig, on the other hand, was not as kind. Multiple hours passed by, and no matter where I looked in the canyon biome, that little yellow pig was hiding from me. And normally, I feel like I'm good at keeping myself together in tough moments like this, but truly, the real side of me came out by this point.
I couldn't tell you what Quackleval is, but I could do Quackleval's dance.
After a couple more strong stamps on my digital footprint, I managed to find my first one, which followed another 30 minutes of nothing. And as the 10th hour of stream rolled around, I was getting antsy.
There's nothing. Nope, I lied. Hey, buddy. Where you going? Don't get in the mud now. Egg.
How is that even possible?
In what realm does a pig scare a dragon?
So based on my chat's reaction to this, I'm confident that I was the first person to ever get roared in Scarlet and Violet, and I made sure the next time I found another shiny Tepig, I would use more reliable tactics to avoid failing another.
It won't happen again.
With the second day in the books, I reached a total of 8 Pokemon in my Gen 5 living dex, and I felt that the next task should be something a little more related to the concept of the challenge. So I'll be honest, I really didn't like Black 2 White 2 when it came out. I know, I was one of those why isn't Pokemon in 3D yet kind of people. And because of that, I really tried my best to compensate for that. I mean, I'm probably one of less than 100 people ever to get every medal in these games, and I've poured an absurd amount of hours completing just a regular living dex just because I wanted to spend more time in the region. But the one thing that I've shockingly not invested time into was the shiny hunting
side of these games. In a way, these games were the foundation of what shiny hunting is today, as this was the first game to introduce the shiny charm. And while many other games by this point had methods to increase your shiny odds, this was the beginning of having a boosted chance solely by just walking around. While I did have a couple of hunts planned for these games throughout the entire challenge, our first stop is going to be on Route 20. Now, if you played these games before, you know that this game improved the wild spawns from the previous titles by allowing in Pokemon from outside Generation 5, but despite that, nearly everything on this route is on our list, so I knew that I was going to walk away from this route successfully.
Which you're probably saying, no, he's definitely going to get Sunkern. And I will tell you that probably not.
Because I already did. So we're not gonna really talk about that. Well, this really didn't bode well for the presumably long journey on this route. I did manage to find one more shiny before I started this stream, and it was something that I actually wanted. Oh! Wow, that's super noticeable. To be fair, that was the only thing that was available on the screen, so. Considering that I got both of these in only 2 hours, I was walking into this confident that I could get a couple over the course of the day. It's important to note though that the odds in this game are actually a little bit different than the other shiny charm games, in that the base of these games are double what they are now. Because this was the final game that had the base 1 in 8192 odds, rather than the shiny charm odds being 1 in 1365 like the modern games, the odds are closer to around 1 in 2730 due to the game having a lower base shiny chance ratio. With that being said, the time to reach odds is significantly faster than usual due to the fact that we're hunting in double grass. By having the chance of encountering 2 Pokemon at once, you can see roughly 450 Pokemon per hour with 2 games, which means that as long as I really focus, it shouldn't take too long for something to appear. Can't say I didn't deserve that. Well, I was nearly double over odds by this point and spent quite literally the entire day with nothing to show. I eventually found something, arguably the most important member of this entire location.
It was actually just like that.
Oh! Rat!
Holy, that was way over odds.
So you're probably wondering, what's so special about this rat? And at face value, I think it's fair to say nothing. Not a lot to be proud of there. However, in terms of this challenge, this is the first member of what I'd like to call the Band 8. Across every single game between the Nintendo Switch and the Nintendo Switch 2, there are only 8 Pokemon that cannot be obtained, and to the surprise of nobody, the Pat Rat line is nowhere to be found. That is until we have Legend ZA. Oh, see, there he is in the trailer. Doesn't he look so cool? So with this in mind, the game plan was to stay here until I found another shiny Pat Rat, and while its encounter rate is only around 20%, basically anything here is worth adding to our collection.
Oh! Wow, that's a really good shiny! That's a really good shiny! Wow. Cool. All right, we got it.
With the 4th shiny of this route found in basically 2 days, I was feeling really confident about my ability in getting another Pat Rat to finish the line, but I had a different plan as to how I was going to get a second one. At this point in the challenge, it was reaching the end of February, which coincides with a yearly gaming event, Pokemon Go Tour. This is an event that's occurred every year since 2021, with the concept of showcasing Pokemon exclusively from a specific generation. While I've never been to one before, this was coincidentally the year of Unova, which means that for the entire weekend in Los Angeles, California, every single spawn in the wild was going to be a Gen 5 Pokemon. Now I know what you're thinking, Pokemon Go shinies are way too easy to get, so why even count those at all? And at the end of the day, this video is all about my experience of finding shinies with a multitude of different methods and sharing those moments that I have with my friends and community. But you are correct, so I devised a plan. Because I knew that I was going to walk away with an absurd amount of shinies, I decided to limit myself to only including 10 shinies from this trip, including Pat Rat, and I tried my best to hunt down the most unique shinies that were available in this event.
It's been about 20 minutes since the event started, and I finally found something. It is something that I need. It's not something that I thought I would get. With this, we are 1 down, and maybe, who knows? Who knows what we'll find? Okay, it's super noisy. I did find my first spawn. However, don't really need that. It's stuck in the sky, so I'm just gonna I'm gonna close out the game and we're gonna hope it's there. It's still there, right? Oh my god, it's gone. Are you kidding me? Well, I guess we gotta find another. In fear of having another unknown incident, I'm just gonna show you that I got a shiny Woobat.
For a majority of the first day, I spent time using the City Pass, which essentially allows you to get all of the Gen 5 spawns throughout the entirety of LA, and during the 8 hours that the event was active each day, I was on the move. It's important to note that I was on the hunt in more ways than just clicking on wild Pokemon. A lot of the big encounters came from either completing Pokestop research or hatching eggs, which became by far the the largest hurdle of this challenge, as you have a walking requirement just like the mainline games in order to hatch them. After a couple hours and about 40 eggs, I managed to hatch a shiny sock, and later found another shiny Woobat to complete the line. And out of the 26 shinies that I managed to find on the first day, I only wanted to keep a couple of them for the video, which I promise you, looking back, was probably not the greatest decision. The following day, I made my way to the Rose Bowl Stadium to participate in the park experience with Point Crow, which for the most part is the same as the city experience. However, all the Pokemon are designated to specific biomes in the park, so if there is a certain shiny that I'm looking for, I could stay in that area until it eventually shows up. At the beginning of the event, all of the spawns became Costume Pikachu disguised as Zorua, which only appeared for 1 minute at the top of each hour, making them by far one of the rarest spawns in the entire event. For the first hour, I didn't really catch anything that I felt was super worthwhile for the challenge, and I can't necessarily say that that changed in the second hour either.
So one thing to note is that we are both squatted up together, and so we're doing like the squad task. And I end up finding, oh, I'm not even recording, I hate myself, and I found the big man in town. He's so gross.
Hey, throw that Pokeball, am I right?
With a few more rare Pokemon found over the course of the day, we reached the final hour of the event, and my last chance to try and get something that I really needed.
Okay, this is the final Zorua check for the event. I have still tomorrow, but I would like it today. That'd be really nice. Oh, I didn't get it. Okay, well, have a great day, everybody. Wait, I got a Lillipup. Wait, that's so exciting. Yay!
On the final day of the event, I decided that I was going to grind out as much as possible for the rare spawns of this event, and right at the gate, I was already seeing huge progress.
Okay, so we just started today, the final day, and I found something that I actually needed, which is kind of insane. I still need Maractus, but now I don't have to be on Route 20 for the next 2 weeks of my life, so that's really exciting.
With a shiny Timpole added to the collection, I was feeling a lot more confident in what I wanted to add to my Pokemon home, but the next one was something that I really wanted to walk away with.
Well, it finally happened. I've done enough of them. I did get a shiny Zorua. Honestly, even though I did have it planned to get it in a different way, I think this is going to be one of the 10.
With this, I found 9 Unova shinies for the living dex, as well as 69 total shinies for the entire event. But the final shiny that I wanted to get was going to be a completely different type of adventure. To be honest with you, I didn't go to LA just for the Unova Tour spawns. The following day began a brand new raid rotation in Pokemon Go for a shiny Pokemon that can be only obtained in that game. I was on the hunt for shiny Genesect. While this will probably change in the future, Genesect can only be found shiny through defeating raids, and I made it my goal that I wouldn't leave LA until I had one. And needless to say, even with help, the game really put me to work. Now, while I did have the entire day to play in arguably one of the most populated places to play Pokemon Go in the world, I was in Pasadena for the event, which means I needed to travel about an hour to get to the best location in the entire city. This location is known as the place to play Pokemon Go in California, and with constant raids rotating the entire day, I knew that with enough determination, we could walk away with the shiny.
I'm at the Santa Monica Pier now, and this is probably where I'm going to be for the rest of today. So the game plan is I'm going to stick around here until I find one, which they end at 7, and I currently have 5 hours left to find this before it's gone for probably a year. This is number 8, so let's just let's dive in. Number 1. No. All right. Well, that's that.
After taking on 10 raids with no shiny in sight, I wasn't feeling too confident about my abilities, but thankfully my friend Awesome Adam was in the area for the day, and if we compare our stats side by side, I think it's fair to say that he has a little bit more knowledge than I do. So we made our way up and down the pier, taking on literally any raid that popped up, and thankfully by the time that we defeated each one, a whole new group of raids respawned, so at most we had to walk an extra block before we had more opportunities to raid. After spending more time enjoying the scenery and reminiscing about all the Bugattis that I've launched off of this shore, I think it was fair to say that I wasn't the only person who was struggling here.
This is number 14. Neither one of us have got one so far, which is pretty absurd, because I think together, like I've done 14 total, but together we've done 12. 3, 2, 1.
No.
It's so bad.
After a few more laps, the morale started to drop, but as always with a challenge like this, patience eventually leads to a reward.
Okay, this time I've actually lost count. 23. 20. We're over. We're over. So it's we're in the trenches right now. All right, 3, 2, 1. You're a sick person for that.
As I crept towards the 30 raid mark, we've been going at this for nearly 2.5 hours, and with a combined total of over 40 raids with a single shiny, it wasn't looking very good. But I had a guaranteed way to figure out when I was going to get my Genesect.
Time is the most valuable currency. No, Pokecoins are the most valuable currency. This did not help.
We have an ultimatum.
Okay.
If I do not get it on this 34th attempt, I will activate this canon. It will be the end of the video and also the end of us. Is number 35.
Okay.
Let's see.
Oh!
Yes!
Let's
go! I can leave! All right, see ya.
With arguably the hardest mythical in this challenge obtained, and spending the final day with some friends, I felt that all of my hard work for this weekend really paid off, and I could come back to the stream feeling refreshed and full of accomplishments. For my returning stream, I decided that instead of playing more Black 2, it was time to experience another new method, one that's not only quick, but essential to getting this challenge done. Within Pokemon X and Y's post-game, you can visit the Friend Safari, a location with encounters that rely solely on the friends list that you have on your 3DS. For every friend that you have added, you can visit their respective safari, which is set to a specific typing with 3 Pokemon that you can hunt for. Because the odds of each of these appearing is the same, we have a 33% chance minimum of finding what we want, all under a shockingly high chance of 1 in 585. This brings us to our second and technically final adventure with the Band 8, as this is one of our very few opportunities to easily obtain the elemental monkeys. Now, I could go pick the low-hanging fruit and say how no one likes them or that they've been pretty unimportant throughout the entirety of the franchise, but I won't do that. Not because I don't want to, but because I don't have enough footage of them to continue this conversation. While these are obviously the main goal here, the Friend Safari is absolutely loaded with Generation 5 Pokemon, so much so that between these 2 games, 4 of the 6 Pokemon were shinies that I needed, and it took no time at all before the first editions of our collection showed up.
Whoa. That is a cool find. Okay, that's not what I thought I was gonna get first. That was definitely not, but I am surely not mad at that. I mean, to be fair, I didn't even notice that that was shiny. It's a pretty, like, underwhelming one, for sure. Is there an official name for the community? Yeah, losers?
I'm really sorry. Listen, I didn't think this was gonna be part of the video. I don't think you're losers. I think that you actually have a lot of redeemable qualities. The next day, I managed to find a shiny Swadloon and yet another Fletchinder, and unlike my previous ventures into the Friend Safari and these challenges, I was feeling pretty confident. The ratio of shinies I needed versus phases was heavily in my favor, and while I knew that I deserved a little bit more of a rough time, even with going nearly 3 times over odds, the game still pulled through.
Monkey! We did it! And we didn't go quad over odds. Oh! Wow, back-to-back monkey? Kinda crazy. That is very rare in my Friend Safari adventures, I'll be honest with you.
Although I still need to get the other 2 monkey lines to complete the Band 8, I felt that I had spent enough time in this area for now, and it was time to check out another 3DS method, one that somehow has even better odds to get what I need. Our next stop in this journey takes us to Ultra Sun and Moon, which have a pretty insane variety when it comes to shiny hunting. However, our focus on the stream is simple, the Ultra Warp Ride. By riding around on Solgaleo and collecting the yellow rings, you can advance further into the Warp Ride and enter wormholes containing special Pokemon. This feature was initially a storyline minigame to make your way to Ultra Megaopolis, but once you finish the story, you're able to visit as many wormholes as you like, with a majority of them having extremely high shiny odds if you know what you're doing. Well, the odds obviously range for this. If you manage to travel over 5,000 light years and enter a wormhole with 2 rings surrounding it, you can have as high of a shiny chance as 36%, and with 6 different Generation 5 Pokemon that can reside in them, I made it my goal that I wouldn't leave this area until I had every single one that I needed.
Okay, chat, there is no way we do not get a shiny from this. Oh, we did! Wow, and we needed it. Oh, back to back and a Gen 5. Okay, gladly. Gladly, I'll take that.
After another 30 minutes of riding around, I managed to encounter another 5 wormhole shinies and eventually a shiny Sigilif. And when you consider that there are 20 different shinies that could appear, and I already have half of them on my list, I was pretty optimistic with what was going to happen in the next stream. As you can imagine with these kinds of hunts, the more that you collect, the more difficult it becomes to obtain the next shiny, and that was definitely showcased here. While I was finding shinies, they were either not what I wanted or duplicates of ones that I obtained before, but after nearly 2 hours, I'd finally discovered a new one.
We are destined. We are destined to find a shiny and a good one. Yeah, the script is real. You didn't think it was! It's all scripted!
With only one left, I made it my goal that I wouldn't end the stream until I had the final shiny, and needless to say, the game definitely made me want to work for it. Unlike the previous attempts that I had, it wasn't hard to find what I needed, it was just hard to find a shiny in general. For multiple attempts, I was encountering 10 or more Pokemon before finding a phase, and while that doesn't sound like a big deal, a majority of these had around 10 to 20% chances of appearing, but eventually, everything worked out.
Oh! Oh, wow, we actually did it. That's nuts. I would like to know, this might be the first ever excited reaction to a shiny Swanna.
While I could say that I was officially done with this little gauntlet, I was still hungry for more. And with 20% of the Pokemon obtained for this generation, I figured that now was a time to take on a completely different part of the wormholes for a real challenge. Just like any other generation, at some point we're going to have to tackle the legendary Pokemon, which are typically regarded as some of the most unique and difficult shinies to get. And Generation 5's list is definitely something. Don't get me wrong, I love the box legendaries, very neat, very cool, arguably some of the best in the franchise. And then there's Terrakion. The Swords of Justice have always been a mixed bag in my head with how I feel about them. When I played Black and White as a kid, those fights in the caverns and meeting them on the routes were easily some of the most memorable aspects of these games. And nowadays, they're just kind of standing in the Crown Tundra. While visually they might not be my favorite, they have arguably some of the most interesting shinies in this generation, and just like my previous attempts, I figured that the Ultra Wormholes were going to be the best way to find them. By entering a legendary wormhole, we can soft reset encounters for one, and although we don't get the insane odds like we did with Swanna and Crew, the odds are 1 in 1365 with the shiny charm, and I average about 350 encounters per hour, so I wasn't really too concerned with how long this was going to take, as there were more pressing issues that I needed to deal with.
Oh my, wow. Chat, I cannot believe that this has just happened, chat. I have gamed so hard. I literally played the thumbsticks off of my 3DS. I have never in my life done that. That's so embarrassing. That's actually so embarrassing. It's brittle in my, look at it, it's brittle in my fingers.
I managed to find Virizion and Terrakion on 2 games, and spent the next day hunting as much as I could. As you'd expect, this can get a little bit monotonous. Unlike the other methods where you can run around and maybe get a little bit of a different scenery, this is basically a title screen simulator. Despite that, the chat and I do our best with the extensive time we have, sharing stories, talking about our day, and most importantly, answering the hard-hitting questions of life.
You know what's crazy? I was on the phone with my mom. I think I told you my sister's getting married. My mom went to get a dress and she said to me, "I love it so much. It's so beautiful." I was like, is it a dress that you think you could use again?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm definitely never using this again. Like there's no situation where I'd wear it again." And I was like, well, "Mom, let's not get reckless here. There's definitely situations. Just you're not thinking clearly about any of them." Don't say she know. Oh. Wow, that's red. That's real red. Okay, it's a little bit embarrassing. This is my birthday. This is my birth year. No, my birthday's not. It's not there. It's not, guys. Mods, stop removing the counter. I was not born in 1886. I promise you. Okay, chat. Can we all say collectively that luxury balls are not worth it, and we just start throwing timer balls? And it kind of matches in a way. Wait. And you guys were worried for what? Well, that's 1 down. We do have 2 more to get, but I would like to think it's gonna take less encounters than this one. 2,000 is a lot, so surely the next one is quick and convenient.
I think we all saw this coming. For the next few streams, my initial comments about the Swords of Justice clearly weren't appreciated very highly by them, as reset after reset, I found absolutely nothing. While I'm definitely not unfamiliar with overodds hunts, this was by far the most unlucky I'd ever been for a wormhole legendary, and no matter where I was during the day, I was reminded of having to complete my task.
One thing I will say, I don't know if you guys have experienced the same thing, and I know that my entire life is Pokemon. I can always find a way to tie Pokemon in to whatever is going on in my life. And every time it happens, I'm like, it can't be this much. It can't be this consistent. How do I tie Pokemon into my wife leaving me? She went to a different region. I didn't even notice it. I wasn't even paying attention. Oh my goodness gracious, there it is. That's very bad. That's very overodds.
With only 1 member left of the Swords of Justice, I found another Virizion to start my final duel hunt, and by this point, I'd already been live for about 4 hours, so I wasn't expecting to make a ton of progress. But anything was good to set me up for the next day.
Wait a second, there's no way! There is no way! How did this game never get anything? You're telling me nothing. We might as well have chucked this game in the garbage. You know what, I will. Consider it done. Maybe if we all fall asleep, it'll be like, oh my God, nobody's looking. Maybe it's shy. All right, I'm gonna go to bed, everyone. Good night.
Okay, that worked. Good job. With the 34th shiny this challenge added to the living dex, I was pretty tired of playing on a 3DS. So I decided the next stream was not only going to be on a different console, but also a game on the surface that doesn't seem like it would offer much. Despite Legends Arceus being based around an ancient Sinnoh region, there were a small handful of Gen 5 Pokemon that somehow snuck their way into the wild areas. If you know anything about me, I'll never pass up an opportunity to play this game, so I decided that I would hunt for every single one that's offered here, with the most notable ones being the rest of the Oshawott line, as by this point I'd only obtained the Snivy and Tepig lines. For the most part, I really didn't have a plan other than taking on outbreaks, but considering that I have a perfected Pokedex, my odds at worst are 1 in 585, so I knew that even flying around, I was going to have a pretty solid chance of seeing something. Well, I mean, we got one. I think it's been 2 minutes. Wait, didn't this happen in the last video? I think this happened in the last video. This looks a little bit scripted, I'm not gonna lie to you. What is happening? This is not how things go. This is not how things go. I don't, like, is there a mod, did they sneak a mod folder into this or what? Mind you, this happened in about 20 minutes of game time, so needless to say, I deserved a little bit of a rough time. For some reason, the Gen 5 encounters are only present within the Icelands and the Crimson Mirelands, so I exclusively spent my time there checking any of the mass outbreaks that were available. After 2 hours of nothing, I ended up finding another shiny Duat, which left me to exclusively hunt the Mirelands for the final 2 members of the game. Oh! Baby! Careful now. Oh. No. No. Hey, we got it! It didn't run away! That's exciting. Oh! I heard it. I heard it! Where is it? Is it that one? Is it? Yeah, no, I see it. It's right there. Get over here. We've done it! I can't believe that. That's nuts. We got every single Legends Pokemon in one single day. Well, it's just crazy on its own that I was able to find these all in only one stream. I also didn't encounter any other shinies in this game. Considering that these take up just barely 2% of the entire Pokedex, the game was absolutely looking out for me. And I was definitely desperate for this momentum to continue, as the next shiny hunt required me to take on a method that I had never done in the history of my time playing Pokemon. Now, a claim like that obviously raises some eyebrows. I've been consistently making shiny hunting videos for a few years now, and I think it's fair to say that I'm pretty diverse in the hunts that I try to go for. But one side goal that I had for this entire Living Dex challenge is that I wanted to attempt every single shiny hunting method that the franchise had to offer. And this next one that we have to do requires us to use QR codes. Within the Generation 7 games, you have the ability to access the camera in multiple scenarios, like taking photos of you and your Pokemon, and getting weird comments on photos of Pikachu. The most peculiar one by far is that you can scan Pokedex QR codes, which adds points to a meter and allows you to perform an island scan after maxing it out. Depending on the day and what island you're on, you have 1 hour to catch an extremely rare Pokemon, most notably a small selection of starter Pokemon. And because I already had those, I decided to attempt this on the original Sun and Moon to try and get a shiny Litwick, mostly because my original plan was for Venipede, and that shiny is not fun to look at. While your initial thought would be that I would use the tried and true method of SOS hunting for this, all island scan Pokemon have a call rate of 0, meaning no matter how long I stay in that battle, it will never call for another Pokemon to appear. On the upside, the shiny odds are still pretty decent at 1 in 1365, and with an encounter rate of 40%, there's a pretty solid chance that after a few phases it'll show up. What are we hunting? Litwick. Just kidding, I already got it. Look. There's no way! No way, you're trolling me right now! Don't play with my heart! Don't play with my heart like that! This is very interesting. I also have no idea what we're gonna do for the rest of the day, but we got it, so I guess let's move on to something else. Although I have had some good luck, I felt that it was time for a little bit of a break, and so I made my way back to Scarlet and Violet to go for the rest of this line, as well as grab some other fire types along the way. After catching 2 more Litwick, with absolutely 0 casualties by the way, I finished the day with 44 Pokemon in my shiny Living Dex, and the drive to check out yet another new method. Even though I only hunted in Black 2, White 2 a month to this day, I was already reminiscing about the idea of multi-encounters. The idea that you can encounter more than just one Pokemon on screen and have the potential to see one come with a different color is just a fun concept. And believe it or not, there are even more games with this feature, as well as even more Pokemon. In the Generation 6 games, by using the move Sweet Scent, you can guarantee an encounter with 5 Pokemon at once, which obviously leads to wildly fast encounters, as well as some very interesting scenarios when trying to catch a shiny, all while you're defending yourself or even the shiny from the rest of the Pokemon. I decided to make my way to the Frost Cavern on both X and Y, as you can encounter Vanillite and Cubchoo 95% of the time here. On the first day, I was reaching about 800 encounters per hour, so I knew that even with terrible odds, I was going to knock out a few members on my list. Oh! Whoa! Ice cream! Wow. You know how large 100 acres is? Do you know how shiny that Cubchoo is? It's the same game again. Okay, to be fair, this is compensating for what this game did in the wormholes. So, I'll take it. While I definitely had more in me to keep going, I had to prepare for a new challenge for the next day, one that involved more than just myself. Throughout every shiny hunting challenge that I've worked on during my streams, my chat also likes to keep me updated on the things that they're hunting as well. And while it's cool to share those experiences, I wanted to be able to find something that we could all share together. I decided to host an event called Ranchorama, and I think by now the lore is too deep to explain why, with the goal of trying to catch as many of one shiny Pokemon in a day. Because I planned on making this a regular thing, I started off with a bang and hunt for easily one of the most vibrant shinies in the entire generation. Zorua is one of those Pokemon that from the moment I saw it in black and white as a kid, I knew that I wanted to get a shiny. And while I have in quite a few different ways on this channel, I know that a lot of my community has experienced that same feeling, and this was a fantastic opportunity to see what we could do as a group. Although many decided to go for the line in Legends due to how accessible it was, I decided to track it down in Alpha Sapphire through the power of DexNav. On the bottom screen of each route in the game, you're able to manually select a specific Pokemon, and by encountering it and defeating it, you're able to build a chain, as well as increase your search level. Both of these concepts are independent values that affect your shiny odds, but truly the most important number to pay attention to is increasing your search level as high as you can, as the base odds of that specific Pokemon will continually increase regardless of what your chain is at. I figured this was also a great introduction to taking on this method, as you can hunt Zorua on the first round of the game, so even if you don't know what you're doing, the game can be pretty forgiving.
Well, we're done for the day. Have a great day, everybody. See you guys later. It's been fun. It's been a good time. We had some good laughs. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
So for perspective, this was a 1 in 2,500 encounters, so I'm not sure if this was the perfect showcase of this method, but a couple of hours later, I managed to get another one with nearly 1 in 200 odds, which I was really excited for because I was going to keep the original one I caught in Pokemon Go, but then I forgot that I caught this, so now I have 2. I decided to go above and beyond and catch the Hisuian forms as well in Legends, and over the course of the day, my chat caught over 200 more Zorua shinies, and while we haven't done one of these since then, I'll absolutely be doing this again in the future. The next day, I jumped right back into the Frost Cavern Hordes, and despite once again being insanely over odds, I managed to secure my second Cubchoo for Beartic, which left me with only 2 more Vanillite that needed to be hunted down for this area, you know? Ooh.
We're up. We're on the board, baby. Yes. Yes. We just need 1 more Vanillite. 1 more and we're good. You don't seem like a movement guy. If I'm not a movement guy, could I do this? Explain that.
Now, to be totally honest with you, I only wanted to finish this just because I started it before Ranchorama. DexNav was the real thing on my mind. I think it was around this point that this method started to really make sense as to what the appeal was behind it. Keep in mind, pretty much every time that I tried to do DexNav, I either obtained it too quickly to really learn anything, or there was a significantly better method available to take advantage of. But after spending an entire day with Zorua, I really wanted to keep going and finish off a couple leftover lines from GoTour.
Oh, look! 56. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. There it is. 130. This was boosted odds. Not bad. Not bad at all, chat. There it is. Very nice. Very cool. 5th shiny of the day. I'm alive for 7 hours. It's not bad.
So if you couldn't tell by now, we've done a lot of hunts in the 3DS games, and we are definitely not done with them now. Aside from the Terrarium in Gen 9, the Switch unfortunately doesn't offer a lot of unique methods to add this generation to the living dex, but the next method that I had in mind has an absurd list of options. As I mentioned previously, the Generation 7 games are known best for the SOS method, which is either one of the most relaxing or wildly frustrating methods, solely depending on who you're trying to go for. For every wild encounter that you get, there's a chance that the Pokemon will call for an additional Pokemon to the field, and by knocking them out, we can build a chain to improve our shiny odds. After defeating 31, the odds will increase to a 1 in 273 chance of a shiny appearing, and as always, the odds improve even before you hit that number.
Oh, look at that rock. Observe the rock. Enjoy the rock.
To keep things interesting, I decided to go for more Roggenrola as well as Eldrim on the other game, as I like the mystery of not really knowing which would show up first, but mostly because my chat is the Twitch version of those grandmas spamming the slot buttons on the Carnival Cruise casinos, hoping that a shiny will be their next big channel point payout. And needless to say, today was their day to gamble big.
Oh, what? Okay, what is happening? What is happening with this game? And also, what is happening with this game? Two equally confusing questions. Oh, I've never seen that. Also, 3 encounters? 3 encounters is a little bit crazy. That's nuts. That's actually absurd.
After getting another Eldrim, I managed to find 4 shinies in one day through SOS, a record I can assure you I will never break again, but it made me excited that I took out a huge chunk of arguably some of the more inconsistent methods of this entire challenge. The next day, I managed to find my final Roggenrola and do the same reaction for the 6th time in a row, which meant it was probably time to spice things up again. And I had a little side quest in mind that I figured wouldn't take too long. In the previous generations of the Shiny Dex challenge, chain fishing quickly became one of the fastest, but also worst methods to attempt, and that's entirely because of me. The process of shiny hunting with this method is simple. Reel in a Pokemon and run away from it. After landing 20 Pokemon in a row, the odds jump to 1 in 100, and as long as you don't miss out on encountering a Pokemon, a shiny should show up pretty quickly. But something about this method gets to me. Listen, I'd like to think that I have a pretty solid reaction time, I've paid my dues in the Octagon, but something about this method just doesn't click with me. No matter how locked in I am, where I am on the map, whatever lore-based clothing I have on, I can't keep a chain going if my life depended on it. Thankfully, there are only 2 Gen 5 Pokemon in X and Y that can be hunted with this method, and since I already had a Basculin, Alomomola was on the menu for this stream. With a 65% encounter rate, I was pretty confident that I could walk away from this today if I just managed to do a little bit better than average, but based on my previous experiences, one of the other options in this ocean was just dying to make an appearance.
What does Shiny Lantern look like? Something like this. This can't keep happening. It can't keep happening. There's no way. I love gaming. Oh, it's so fun.
With that short quest out of the way for this gen, I made my way back to Scarlet and Violet to try and boost up my numbers for the week, and what better way to do that than to participate in an event that happened 3 months prior. I'll admit it, I have a bad history with just forgetting to update my game, and this time, it was actually worth it. During the Shiny Rayquaza event that took place at the end of 2024, they also included special black shiny outbreaks, and Fracture just happened to be one of those options. So I decided to re-experience it again with my chat to just see what I could find.
I kind of forget, like I know what the shiny looks like, but I also... Yeah, I just don't know what the shiny looks like. I just can never... Shiny? I saw 2 people say it, and so I fear... Oh! They passed! They passed! There we go. Oh, let me check out this clip. Oh... Okay, in my defense... No, never mind. No, I think I made contact with it. I made eye contact with that thing, and I said nothing.
Now, because this event was specifically for Fracture, I was going to have to hunt down Axew outside of these outbreaks. So I made a quick sandwich and made my way to the terrarium to track it down in the nature preserve, and it didn't take too long before that also showed up. Oh!
Okay, we got it. Use a friend ball. Chat, do I go to the gotcha thing? Apparently you can plan what you get. They patched it? Oh, okay. They didn't patch it? Okay, we're just gonna keep driving then.
After once again holding the title of the CEO of Not Saving, I figured it'd be best to relocate to a new area of the map, and I decided that the top of Artisan might be a better play. But presumably due to causing a casualty in the family, not only did Axew not want to shine, quite literally nothing did for over an hour. I know this is the last game that should ever complain about that, but it's more from a sense of astonishment that these games could actually pose the concept of a grind after making the odds as high as they are. That being said, I did eventually find one, but I may have let the impatience get to me. Oh!
Not again. My God, that took so long. And now you pay the price. Be gone. I hope he's gone on the reset. Well, you're gonna be very disappointed. Oh my God, that scared me. Wait, that scared me so bad.
With all that out of the way, I decided to go for one last sandwich hunt for Gauntlet outside of Zappa Pico, and across the final 3 hours of the stream, not a single one seen was shiny, so I guess we'll just figure that out in the future. And while I would like to think the luck will turn around, I was about to embark on yet another foreign shiny method. If you frequented this channel over the past few years, one method that I think stands out above the rest is the Pokeradar. It's the epitome of hard to learn, easy to master, and throughout the previous living dexes, it's been an integral part of filling out some of the larger evolution lines. While I definitely love to use Platinum in this challenge to make quick work of some of the more challenging aspects of this Pokedex, these games obviously have 0 hunts that can contribute here, but that doesn't mean that the item is useless. Out of all the underused shiny hunting methods, Pokemon X and Y's radar may be at the top of the list, as when I mentioned that this was the game plan for the next few days, a majority of my chat didn't even know that it existed, and that's not really surprising to me. This method is wildly undocumented, to the point where the Bulbapedia article regarding it is a whopping 6 sentences. But if you used it before, the concept is pretty similar to what's offered in the Sinnoh games. By standing in a patch of grass and by using the radar, specific tiles of grass will quickly shake, and by walking into them, you can encounter a Pokemon. By catching or defeating them, there's a chance that your chain will continue, and over the course of chaining 40 of these encounters, the shiny odds increase to 1 in 100. While this is the baseline of how Pokeradar works in other games like Platinum and BDSP, the major difference is the addition of fast music. After catching a Pokemon, there's a 2% chance that the music will change to a more upbeat pattern, resulting in all of the patches becoming 1 in 100 regardless of where you are in your chain. Meaning that even if you're bad at keeping a chain going, there's a strong chance that the game will just throw a shiny your way for your efforts. In turn for these good odds, this feature also has a 50% chance to go away every time that you reset the radar, so the best method is just to stop chaining for a moment and see how many times you can farm encounters. While this is a huge upside, there were some interesting adjustments that they also made. Unlike every other method, if you happen to find a shiny Pokemon, your chain just ends. They don't tell you that as the music still continues, but the game internally just resets your shiny odds as if you're starting your chain all over again. And while you could continue it anyways just so you don't have to re-encounter the Pokemon to hunt its evolutions, you better be keeping track as there's no way on screen to tell what your chain is at while you're radaring. Okay, well that's not entirely true. The scientists at Sycamore's lab will give you the breakdown, but at that point, I don't really think it matters. Just like the island scan hunts, I had never actually hunted in this game before. At most, I received the radar, used it once, and then just unequipped it just like the rest of society, but I wanted to change that, and I had the perfect group of Pokemon to go for. Aside from the shaking grass in black and white, this is the final location where I can try and hunt for the final members of the Band 8, and I was adamant about not only getting those, but mastering this method as much as I could. Now, if you know anything about radar, the larger the patch of grass, the easier it is to chain, and this was a pretty solid way to begin, and optimism was pretty high that I could throw together a 40 chain pretty quickly. Oh! We've done it. Okay, I'm a little bit scared, I'm not gonna lie to you. By the way, this is the fast music, and we're gonna get a shiny, which means we can continue the chain. No way! That's crazy. Okay, so we got the fast music, and then we got the instant 1% encounter to get the shiny. Dare I say it? If I'm being totally honest, this is just gonna give me a huge ego for the rest of the day, and I'm gonna get heavily humbled later. Now, I'd love to say this was the scenario that would play out for the rest of the stream. I would be lying. Despite Sandalwood Forest having a 100% catch rate to make fast chains, over the remaining 5 hours of stream, absolutely nothing happened. At this point, I couldn't really tell if it was bad luck or I just wasn't good at the method yet, so I decided to hunt off stream the following day, where I learned a new feature within this method that definitely makes things a little bit more difficult. I don't know where it is. It's somewhere down here, but if there's another patch, then I'm kind of screwed. Is it this? I never want to do this method again. After a couple more hours of trial and error, I found a second Pansage, which in my head meant that I was good enough to get the final monkey on stream, and for once, that was actually true. I immediately threw together a 40 chain and realized that investing time into learning is one of the best tools to success. Oh! Okay, I think it's one step up. If it isn't, this is gonna be very embarrassing. I'm just gonna show you that we found a second one and then we'll just move on. With the Band-Aid completed, I evolved them, as I have to because I can't take them out of Pokemon Home, and I was still feeling like I wanted to hunt some more on stream, so I decided to chip away at a small list of shinies that are the polar opposite in difficulty. Within the modern Pokemon games, by breeding 2 Pokemon from different languages, you have an increased chance of finding a shiny Pokemon. Typically, people will use a foreign Ditto as it's compatible with everything, which results in each egg having a 1 in 512 chance of being shiny. Despite Scarlet and Violet being the newest games to have this method, I have not a great history with that, and Sword and Shield are actually faster games to hatch Pokemon, so I figured this was the better play anyways. By standing in front of the daycare, you actually end up farming more eggs than you can hatch, and while this is a bit repetitive, it's quite a sight to see how quickly you can fill up your PC boxes.
And here we see a prime example of a Johnstone. This short, bald creature harvests cactus for nourishment. Only the finest cactus will be consumed, so the Johnstone has tremendous patience.
Don't treat me like a nature documentary, please. Now you're probably wondering to yourself, why Maractus? And considering that I found about 4 of them in the Friend Safari through other gens of the Living Dex, that's totally understandable. However, if you know anything about Sword and Shield's release, Maractus was wildly disliked. With the removal of the National Pokedex, people routinely complained in Twitter threads about how Maractus is one of the least deserving Pokemon to make it into a Pokedex. I'm sorry, are we looking at the same Pokemon? It's cute. So despite those people, I wanted to give this cactus the ultimate treatment and hatch it in one of the more difficult ways to get it, but also so I could have a chance to see easily one of my favorite shiny reveals in the entire franchise. Oh! Wow, that's so good. That's such a good shiny. And just like I predicted, chat, we have like 150 more eggs that we have to hatch. Which is so bad. With yet another method completed, it was time to go back to my roots. I had a hot date with the Relic Castle. After spending my first few days of this challenge on Route 20 with super good results, I was really motivated to find more members of my list in the Gen 5 games, and this area of Unova contains some pretty unique hunts that can be done. The main target over everything is Yamask. We need 2 Yamask, because Yamask, unfortunately, is another Pokemon that did not get a lot of love in future games, and so it's really annoying to get. But additionally, we can also get Sandile and Krokorok, which I also need, and so that's totally fine. Initially, I thought this was going to be pretty similar to the Patrat grind, but the absence of dual encounters really dragged this out, as I was only getting about 300 encounters per hour. So I had a bad feeling that I was going to be here for quite a while. Oh! Oh! Wow! Wow, look. Oh, I noticed that immediately. That's crazy. That's super under odds. That's super under odds. It's what we were looking for, and it looks great. With another easy hunt in the bag, surely the next Yamask will be just as kind, right? Maybe we should check back later. A few days later, I realized that the list of the Friend Safari hunts that I planned for this video was going to be pretty daunting if I didn't take on more of them now. So I jumped into a bug and dark type safari to hunt down 2 different lines, but one of them is a little bit better than the other. In my opinion, Scolipede is by far the greatest shiny in the entirety of Generation 5, and there's a lot of competition. Admittedly, the entire line color-wise is an identity crisis, but at least they finished strong, and I was dying to have this part of my collection. Vullaby was the hunt plan for the dark type safari, but Sandile was also here, although I figured that during the Yamask grind that I find 1 or 2 in the process. We had an assignment that was due in my class, and the premise of the assignment was to basically create a planet. And my teacher was like, hey, John, it's time to find a shiny is what my teacher said. I believe that's exactly what my teacher said. Okay, this is absolutely maximum copy. Wait, I think that's a shiny bird. Over the next couple of days, I managed to find another Whirlipede and Vullaby with only 1 phase in between, and I felt that it was time to hop into yet another Scarlet and Violet hunt, but this time we were going to do something a little bit more special than the average outbreak. While the terrarium is home to a majority of the Gen 5 hunts that I had planned, the first one that I had in mind for the day required us to go to the clubhouse of Blueberry Academy. By spending Blueberry points, we're able to invite 2 notable characters at a time that were from the main storyline to come visit the academy. After speaking to them a few times, you're requested to trade a Pokemon with them, and upon completing 10 special trades, we're given an additional reward. Now, I really wish that I had something to say about this, but this idea sounded a lot more entertaining in my head. This is quite literally 2 hours straight of me interacting with a PC, talking to a gym leader, and replacing them with another gym leader repeatedly until I was eligible to trade with each one. After completing the final trade, you have a secret final battle with Serrano that I was definitely not prepared for, but once that was completed, we could finally receive our special reward. The BBL champion just defeated the secret boss, which means I think you deserve a special reward for defeating the secret boss. 3 Comet Shards. Okay. This is such a splendid occasion, though. I feel like I should give you something more. Oh, I know. How will we trade Pokemon? Look!
Wow! We got a shiny Blitzel. All right, that is one more added to our list.
With easily the hardest Gen 9 shiny in the books, I figured that'd be worth my time to grab another one for its evolution that took all of 15 minutes to appear, as well as farm some more blueberry points in my chat, as there is probably some other challenge that I'll need to do in the future that will need a ton of those anyways.
What was that? John shared a photo. All right, John, what did you want to share? Jesus. What is that? Dear God, that's horrifying. Please don't do that, John.
With a few more sandwiches made, I rode around the coastal biome to catch Cottony and Whimsicott, as well as grabbed a single Timber, which I would have loved to get the entire line of Pokemon, but I had more IRL things I need to tend to. I'm sure you know in previous videos that I made, I tend to include trips that are either related to Pokemon, or I try to bring my challenges along with me to still make progress outside of my streams. And although I've already done one for this video, that was just the beginning, as I had a bunch of other trips lined up that were related to Pokemon. I made my way out to Texas to hop on the Around the Bar podcast, and immediately took a trip back to Atlanta, as I was given a badge by the Pokemon Company to check out the regional tournament for the competitive circuit. While I didn't get any shiny hunting done on this trip, I did record a ton of footage that I put on a secret channel, which contains all the behind the scenes of every single trip that I've gone on this year if you have any interest to see more than 2 uploads a year from me. I'll be the first one to say it, I may have put a little too much on my plate this year, but let it be known that some of the shiny hunting moments that were made on future trips in this challenge are arguably some of the best that I've ever had. Definitely a lot more exciting than finding 2 Drillbur inside of a cave in Scarlet and Violet, but this marked an important milestone in the challenge, as we've officially reached the halfway point in this generation's shiny decks, which meant that it was time for yet another big grind. Throughout your time playing Pokemon Black and White, the Swords of Justice aren't the only group of legendaries that you can encounter, as there are creatures much more intimidating than cave-dwelling beings, dragons, and robot insects. We need to find some buff men. Now, while I do like the Therian forms of the Genie trio, the Incarnate forms don't rank too highly on my personal list of favorite pocket monsters, but I'm sure I could find at least one redeeming quality to say about them. They have great posture. I once again set up a dual hunt for both Tornadus and Thundurus, and I truly didn't have a preference as to which one I really wanted to appear first. They're all kind of the same vibe to me. But if there was one thing that I really wanted from this entire endeavor, it was that I wanted the shinies to look cool. At this point, I don't think I'd really ever seen them be shiny in the 3D games, as they were obviously locked in Legends, but when I remembered the Gen 5 games, they at least had some potential. Oh my goodness, he's Orpal.
What an absolute banger, by the way. Can we just enjoy the music for a second? 1,656 encounters. It's a little over odds. This is the gold standard. Getting it in this encounter range, I'm not mad about it. Is he gonna fail this, chat? The lack of faith that you have in me is absurd. Here's my out, is using a timer ball, and to be honest with you, it's not the worst. And statistically, it is so against me to catch it in anything but the timer ball. I really don't like when that stuff happens.
The following day, I continued my Genie hunts. However, I decided to do something a little bit different and hunt for 2 Landorus rather than the Tornadus that I had already prepared. And the reasoning for that was for a special event that was scheduled for the weekend. Now, I look across the entire history of my time doing the shiny living decks, there are some that I avoid. Sure, I dabble with the occasional difficult hunt like Darkrai and some older game egg hatching, but there's a lot about Dynamax adventures that I do not see the appeal in. Within Sword and Shield's Crown Tundra DLC, you can visit a location called the Max Lair, which gives you access to every legendary Pokemon from generations 1 through 7, including quite a few Pokemon that are not available in Ultra Sun and Moon. You begin by renting a Pokemon, and with a team of 4 players or NPCs, you battle 3 Dynamax Pokemon and then eventually take on the legendary of the den. If you can defeat it before losing 4 lives, you have the ability to shiny check it within the menu, as well as the rest of the Pokemon you caught, all under an absurdly high 1 in 100 odds. While I love the concept of it, the time that it takes to get the shiny that you actually want is incomparably worse than Ultra Sun and Moon. Like in the span of an hour, you can encounter around 300 Pokemon between both games, basically 1/5 of your way to odds. In DAs, you can maybe do 6 encounters, and that's if you defeat the Pokemon. With that being said, you're probably confused as to why I'm doing this, and aside from my goal of doing every single method, it's the weekend, everybody. Each year, my friend Blue Vector hosts a special event with the goal of the community finding their grail shiny legendaries in the Max Lair, and I surely have mine. Look, is Landorus the better shiny? Absolutely. And while on the surface you think that a quad weakness would be easier to take down, this thing is a monster to defeat. And because Tornadus has the offensive damage of a thrown handful of mixed nuts, I was recommended to take the easier route. For the first day of the event, I tried to make it as easy as possible by setting up 2 different games, one for friends that I'd play with and one for my chat. For the first 4 hours of stream, I hunted alone, but I had the pleasure of hanging out with Blue, Absol, and Nimbly, which is a group that I've mostly never gamed on stream with before, so my chat was very curious as to how I brought everyone together.
I actually have met John exactly once. It was at TwitchCon, and he talked about boobs.
That's okay.
Nice. What an intro.
Here's the thing is I would be like, oh, can you please give more context? I don't know if that's gonna help me.
For a majority of the stream, we just hung out and took down as many Tornadus as possible and shared with the community the lore of Da Weekend. But based on our conversations, we had to adjust the name to Da Freakend.
I can't wait to shake my cow boobs.
What? The freaky weeky, everybody.
Not the coobs.
The what?
Shockingly, with my chat not throwing, we managed to encounter a little under 50 Tornadus in one day. But with over 150 encounters in 9 hours and nothing shining, I decided to do a little solo grinding offline in hopes that at least something would show up.
I think that that's shiny. Yeah. All right, I mean, I found something.
The following stream, I decided that hunting Tornadus wasn't enough, and I set myself up for max overstimulation by also adding a single hunt for Landorus in the bottom corner. And very quickly, we were able to add yet another member to our weekend grind.
No shiny Liepard. No shiny Jolteon. Bottom left, first Tornadus. Not shiny. Second Tornadus.
Yes! Yes! We did it! Let's go! That's so insanely under odds.
This is the specific save file that I made specifically for this specific specification of this weekend. So that's pretty good. Let's see that shiny.
Oh, it is stars! Wow! Dreams come true.
If we're gonna do Landorus, chat, I have to join one of your Landorus. Oh, I have Zekrom. No, I want Landorus. Oh wait, no, sorry. We are on the Earth. Wait, if they're on the moon, then that actually does work. Oh! What is happening? What is happening today? Oh my god, we haven't even made it through the first DA. Well, now what do I do? We've done it. We have all 3 genies.
With yet another trio completed in the challenge, it was time to never touch Dynamax Adventures ever again, which was fine, as right now I had to address some new information that came out in the shiny hunting scene. Over the years the Pokemon community has been around, new discoveries are made every single year, and shiny hunting is no exception. While most methods these days are extremely well documented across hundreds of websites, some have barely any research put into them, which begs the question, does anyone actually know how to use the X and Y radar? While I did successfully do some hunts in these games and can kinda confidently say that I know what I'm doing, the concept of fast music is only partly completed, as there's an additional factor that's remained a mystery since the game's released in 2013. While multiple websites and YouTube videos explain that there's a 2% chance of the music changing after a battle, for over a decade there was this additional factor that's constantly brought up. This 2% chance can increase to 4%, and no one knew why until this year. Twitter user Anubis went on a deep dive into the mechanics of radar and X and Y, and after extensive research, analysis, and high-level gaming knowledge, this mystery value was summed up to one crucial detail.
It's my birthday, everybody!
By simply having your day on your 3DS matching your birthday on your profile, you can receive this boost for the entire day, regardless of where you are in the region. Is this misleading? Sure, but if you tried radar in these games, you would also want any extra luck you could get. And the people who disagree with that logic, don't worry, I still had to grind to 40 to get my first shiny.
Oh my god! Oh my god, I found it. Okay, all right, we're good. Please be an Emolga, please be an Emolga, please be shiny. Ah! Wow, it looks good! And by the way, that was the first chain of the day. Admittedly, it did take an hour and 40 minutes. So that
is not very good. Because it was still relatively early in the stream, I decided to keep the momentum going by tracking down Ducklet, as I'd only had the evolution that I got through the Ultra Wormholes. So here's the upside. I was getting more fast music. Considering that it's now a 1 in 25 chance of happening, over the course of a 40 chain, you're bound to have a few good shots at a shiny. But not only were none of these patches good, this thing loved to waste my time. For 3 straight hours, I'll build up extremely high chains, only for another unwanted member of the route to pop out, and considering that it's a 10% chance to encounter one, trying to start up a brand new chain can really make things pretty frustrating. But after a lot of patience, I finally reached another 40 chain.
Oh, okay, that's bad. Okay, wait a second. So that's good and bad at the same time. I don't want to Caterpie.
And yet, I Caterpied.
The following day, I only spent another 3 hours getting a real shiny Ducklet, and I decided that I wanted to do something a little bit easier with X and Y and jump back into the world of Horde hunting. I had a few targets on my list, starting with the Fungus line in the Pokemon Village. Unlike my previous attempts in the Frost Cavern, this hunt has only a 60% chance of finding what I need, but with how fast I was getting encounters, I really didn't mind how many phases I was going to go through. Honestly, you can't even tell. You can't even tell that it's shiny. I could have just ran away. I would have no clue. Remeat crawls into his brain to control him. Cool. Mind control rat. Oh, also shiny Fungus. You know, I've said a lot of insane things. I think that mind control rat might be the most insane thing that I've ever said before finding a shiny. From here, I backtracked to Route 5 to take on the Scraggy line, where I ran into even more complications with this game.
We can name this whatever, chat. We haven't had a phase in a little bit. Let's not name it D's. I feel like we can be a little bit more creative than D's or balls. All right, I'm naming it balls. Easy hack!
The next 2 days, I went 4 times over odds for the first Scraggy, which would be a larger deal if it didn't take like 5 hours to reach, and with the second one quickly following after, I was itching to do more dex now. So I spent the weekend in the IBS realm trying to track down Tauros' cousin.
Oh, wow!
That was so extreme. That was the most YouTuber reaction I could have done. I'm so sorry that I did that to you.
Oh, sorry, I didn't do all of that. I didn't do all of it. No way! You want to like and subscribe so bad right now.
Off stream that evening, I decided to hunt down Gothita, and I found one with only a chain of 14, which honestly made me feel like I was actually starting to really understand this method, which that's not really how that works at all, but I was happy, and I felt that I had earned a little bit more Gen 9 time. But this time around, we were going to take a slightly different approach. For basically every single shiny video that I've done on this channel, I played exclusively on Pokemon Violet. But when it comes to version exclusives, the pseudo-legendaries are always split between versions, and the Dino line requires us to hop on Koraidon instead. For the entire day, and for the only time in this challenge, I booted up Scarlet and began an easy and relaxing day of sandwich hunting. While this area wasn't too bad to spawn Dino, my chat told me that with the Dark-type sandwich at the base of Area 0, I could find Zweilous as well, with the occasional Brute Bonnet sprinkled in, and as I made my way down, I could tell that they definitely had the right idea. Well, hello there. I think I need that, don't I?
Yeah, I don't even have this Pokemon. Wow, okay, that's amazing.
Yeah, I just can't... What is happening?
Can we just get all this knocked out right now? I'm down.
We don't have to catch that. We just need one Zweilous.
And I'd love $1 million.
There could be a delay. I decided to do one final hunt in the terrarium for shiny Deerling to complete all of that line as well, bringing the total to 94 Pokemon with about 3 hours of work put in. But all of our fun was about to disappear, as it was time to take on a group of Pokemon much older than the ones in Area 0. In my opinion, the Gen 5 fossils are easily some of the most underrated Pokemon in the history of the franchise. I mean, look at Tortuga and Archon. These are some of the best designs that they've ever made. No, just don't look at him, he'll leave. While the fossil Pokemon have really never been super convenient to hunt due to the fact that they're supposed to be ancient rarities, these specifically are a fantastic showcase as to how little there really is to offer when it comes to variety with the Gen 5 shiny hunts. Since their release, our options have been reviving them at full odds, encountering them basically full odds in the Crown Tundra, or egg. I decided to start with the turtles because I personally felt they were a little bit more exciting to go for, and to make things a little faster on stream, I spent some time collecting eggs the night before, which none of those eggs resulted in getting a single shiny, but the thought was there. After a day and a half of grinding, I went over odds for the first time since Fiona, but I knew that statistically, it couldn't get any worse than that.
Oh! Oh, turtle! Turtle! We did it! Isn't that a good shiny? And now we had to do it again.
The next day I was able to get another after nearly 350 eggs, which definitely helped balance the two out. But when it came time to work on the ancient birds, there was one small oversight that I made.
Bird! That's how we do it, baby! That's how we make it happen! This is box 1, and we have 8.
Oh my god, we have 8 of them. This is gonna take forever to get all of those done.
It's important to note that GameStop on release day. Number 2!
Wow. That was insanely fast. With these obtained way faster than expected, we had basically collected 2/3 of the entire Pokedex, which meant that it was time for another huge milestone hunt. So what's on the menu? Are we hunting legendaries, mythicals, Yamask? No, I actually just lost count, and I didn't know we got to this point. Because I had so many hunts scheduled in Gen 9 that I truly hadn't made a dent on, I tried to see how many I could knock out in one day, which, spoilers, was a ton. Wait! Oh! Wow, there we go, 1 down, for the most part. Wait, oh, I found it. Okay, cool. It was hiding in the grass. Oh, that's it for sure. Oh, that's absolutely it. If it is in chat, I'm gifting 5,000 subs. I did not have the money for that, thank God. I don't see it. Wait, no, I do see it. It's right here. Wow. Next level, Dynamax Brain locked in. That was an unreal distance to recognize that. After finding another Swaddle to evolve into Levani and Kitakami, I made my way back to the terrarium to quickly hunt down the entire Solosis line, adding an absurd 8 new members to our living decks, as well as finishing up nearly everything left that I had planned for this game, which meant that it was time to get back into the good stuff. Because I really hadn't done a ton of SOS hunts to the volume that I did in the previous gens, I decided to do a dual hunt for Minccino and Lillipup, which actually required me to do a little bit more setup than the average hunt, due to the fact that Minccino will basically spam Sing the entire time. But with having something like Vital Spirit on Primeape, this isn't a problem whatsoever. I really didn't mention this much, but SOS is very much a sit and wait kind of hunt in these games, at least the way that I do it. By having a Trevenant with the ability Harvest, which has a 50% chance to replenish a berry at the end of its turn, I'm able to skill swap this to the opposing Pokemon, as well as send a Leppa Berry over with Trick, essentially giving the opposing Pokemon unlimited moves, making it so you can focus on one side of the battle and just wait for the shiny to appear. While it is pretty low effort, the more I do it, the more I realize how long it can take. Because it's about a minute per encounter, I'm maybe doing 100 encounters per hour, and considering that the first one was already over odds, I was pretty confident that I was going to be here for quite a while.
Oh! Look! Wow, I can't believe I noticed that. That sucks. I'm gonna be honest with you. My first video of yours was the Gold and Silver Starter videos. There it is. Oh, wait, look! Wait, that makes no sense.
Minccino just doesn't want us. And maybe that's because we got it in the last video. Maybe that's the reason, but I still need it. The following day, I set up the exclusive dual hunt for Minccino, as this was really all I had planned left for SOS, and let's just say the budget was upgraded for this stream. The game plan today, 2 rare little guys that what? Hey, I didn't know you were there.
I can make more cursed photos of Minccino. If you gave me some time to cook, I could make some horribly cursed photos of him. Oh! Oh! We did it! I was just gonna end at 500. We found it at 498. That's not bad.
Now, while I would have loved to commit to finish this hunt, there was yet another event that I had planned for the upcoming weekend. Although by this point I hadn't done another Ranchorama, I really wanted to coordinate another event. And what I had planned was something that I had never seen anybody organize before. I decided to create an event called Friend Safari Weekend with the goal of trying to knock out as many Gen 5 shinies on my list. And by creating a friend code exchange through my Discord, I was able to help my viewers fill up their own friends list to be able to join along with the hunts. I figured that a good place to start would be to boot up a dark type Safari that I use for Vullaby, with the hopes that Liepard or maybe finally a Sandile would show its face. For the right side game, I decided to immediately go for my most wanted shiny, and despite going over odds for the first find, it was at least something that I needed.
Oh! Oh, green! mean? Is that not a good shiny? I think it's fantastic. And this was the hardest one to get out of all of them.
Because there wasn't anything left in the Dragon Safaris for me, I decided to hunt down the Muna line in the Psychic Safari, which resulted in me quickly finding an Esper and finish the stream off finally with a Sandile. But to be honest with you, that didn't really feel like enough for one day. So I decided to do a little more hunting off stream with some friends that evening to try and boost up my numbers a bit.
This is the big cry encounter, everybody. I'm one encounter from overodds.
No, you'll just find it right now.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
right now.
Okay. Wait, that's awesome.
There it is.
Anytime I go over odds, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a rendition of what I would like to find in the Friend Safari, and I think it's going to be good motivation. You'll. Wait! It worked! My powers!
With a few more random shinies found the next morning, it was clear the phases were definitely going to outweigh my targets, but I kept going strong, hoping that something good would shine.
I was like, you guys can bring your own drinks. I'll have a couple things left over. We didn't ask for that. We've done it. All right, a whopping 66 encounters. Let's go, everybody. We're on our way. Oh, wait! Back to back? There's no way that's the same game. I've never had that happen. I just got insane chills. And we need it.
That is crazy. And I'm very confident we're cooked for the rest of the day. After mentally preparing to continue, my chat and I started looking back at the previous generations that I worked on, where we realized just how long we've been hunting for in this challenge.
Oh, wait, somebody asked how many Pokemon we've caught with phases. We have gone through 36. What's a phase? It's when you get something that you did not intend on getting, and in this specific scenario of the video, well, that's a phase. That's actually a perfect example of what a phase is. Oh! Chat! This is outrageous! This can't keep happening!
That's crazy!
Muna just wants to be seen.
After switching over to a Steel-type Safari, I was able to finish the weekend with a shiny Clang, finishing the event with 11 shinies, with 6 of them being new additions to the Pokedex. Although I had quite a few more targets that need to be hunted down in the Friend Safari, I decided to save some more of that for later, and spent the next few days searching for the Pidove line with more Dex Nav. To be honest with you, nothing too crazy really happened as these all showed up without too much effort. So to compensate, we're gonna play a new game on this channel called
I want 1,000,000 subs.
If you subscribe right now, you get whatever's behind this magical door. Oh, that's very nice. With this line completed, I obviously had the option to go for more, but I knew this was time to address a hunt that I've put off for far too long. Now, I've only lightly addressed the situation, but Yamask was taking quite a long time to show up. Although the odds are 1 in 2730, it still takes about 9 hours to hit odds. And we're currently at 8,400. And I figured that if I was going to be cleaning up some other old hunts, I might as well take on one that I started 3 months ago. Surely that's not right. During the entirety of this journey, I've been silently hunting off stream on random days when I didn't have anything going on, and at this point, I truly had nothing to show for it. So I promised my chat that I would keep going until I eventually found one, no matter how many phases I'd go through. One of the most interesting things about streaming in these challenges is that everyone watching is invested at different levels. Some people pop in once a week, once an hour, and some are treating me like a Johnstone CCTV. But regardless, I'm answering one simple question.
How long have you been hunting Yamask? Today? Oh! We're not hunting it at all, because we just got it! The drought! The drought is done! Yes! We did it! I'm free! I haven't seen this in forever, but I know it looks good. I'm the GOAT of gaming!
That evening, I was still itching to make a bit more progress, so I took on the final Horde hunt that I needed in Pokemon Y, with the hopes of 2 different shinies appearing at some point. Bug. Which is the one that I don't hit? What's Durant's catch rate? Not Kevin Durant. I want Durant from Pokemon, please. Okay, what options do I have here? One ball wouldn't hurt, right? Okay, let's never do that again. The next morning, I finished up yet another cleanup hunt of finding a second Minccino, which also marked the final SOS hunt that I had planned, and I spent the remainder of the day attempting more Pokeradar, where I think it's fair to say that my odds were definitely all over the place. What? A chain of 5, you say? What are the odds of that? That's like insane. Okay. I'll take it. I'm not complaining, but like that wasn't even with the fast music. Maybe if we got BBLs, it'll spawn. I don't know what the correlation is, but I'm getting one anyways. Was it this one? I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't remember already. This sucked. While I would have loved to put time into figuring out how to fix that, I had another adventure that I had to embark on. For the past 3 years, my friends and I have made the trip out to the New York City area for Pokemon Go Fest, and I definitely wasn't going to miss it this year. Although there wasn't an essential Gen 5 shiny hunt to this event, I still wanted to include something for this trip, but allotting another 10 shinies for this event just seemed like overkill. No. I had a much better plan. A few days prior, I had my chat decide on 5 shinies that I could hunt for on this trip, with the caveat being that if I didn't find all of them, I couldn't replace them with another shiny that I found over the weekend, which truly meant that I needed to grind.
Okay, so the 5 that I have, to my memory, are 2 Frillish. I need Pawniard, Heatmore, and Clink. Wow,
How many of those do you have?
None. You just set me up. That's so...
On day 1 of the event, I took on the city experience in Central Park with the goal of really finding any of those, but it's also important to note that this was the first time ever that you could shiny hunt Zacian and Zamazenta, but we'll leave that story for a different generation. Despite playing the entire day, I managed to find over 20 shinies, but nothing that I actually needed. Because everything in rotation is once again just randomly thrown onto the map, I couldn't really target anything that I wanted specifically. But the next day, I had a much better game plan. I decided to make the following day my park experience, and while I was allowed to go on whatever day I wanted, my chat told me that the best activity to do in New Jersey was to leave, so I figured that one day of the event here was probably my best option.
Okay, it is currently 11 a.m. and I finally found one. Here it is. Shiny Clink, the first of 5. That took way too long. That took way too long. I still need 4 more, but that's huge.
I decided to spend more time in the Mechanical Marvels section of the park, as it contained a few more on my list. But if you couldn't tell by the gloomy ambiance of the area, this was not ideal Pokemon Go weather.
This is Weatherman John bringing you another shiny update. I found a tiny shiny Pawniard, which is crazy. But that means I only have 3 left. So surely, maybe we'll get one more by the end of this. I have another like 25 minutes. Let me just see if I can rush and get one more.
After a few more hours of gaming, the morning park experience came to a close, and I had to say goodbye to all the guaranteed spawns, with only 2 of the 5 on my list found. But after taking some scenic photos with the most forgotten Pokemon in history, I had an idea.
That's pretty much it for the event. However, they gave me a pass for every single city and park experience. I think I'm just gonna stay here so long as it isn't downpouring, which surely that won't happen.
After about 2 hours of the community's first shower, I was able to get out there again with some friends and find some more shinies, and because they had a bunch of research to do, I mostly just tagged along as they took laps. But that doesn't mean that I didn't find anything.
All right, I managed to get another one. Shiny Frillish. I just need to get one more of those. It can be either male or female, doesn't matter at all. But yeah, I have 3 of the 5.
On the final day of the event, I collected 71 shinies, but with Heatmore and another Frillish still unclaimed for my decks, I knew that I was going to be on the grind. The moment that it hit 9 a.m., I was out the door, power walking down every block of the city, and it was very clear this was my way to success as I found 11 shinies in the first hour of the event. A few hours later, my friends woke up and we met at the park, and I finally found another shiny on my list.
Yes, okay, we got another Frillish. Okay, so I just need to find Heatmore, and then I'm all done.
With 5 hours left in the day, I was booking it through the city, and although I broke my all-time record with shinies with 113, it wasn't looking good.
Okay, we got 1 minute left. Not looking good. My eggs, no! And none of them were shiny. That's just rude. I guess I'll have to find it another way.
With 127 Pokemon in my Gen 5 shiny decks, things were finally starting to come together. A majority of these past months have been super up and down with the trips as well as the shiny odds, but coming back from the trip, I had a new way to boost my numbers. The morning before my flight to NYC, I was able to pick up a pre-order for a Nintendo Switch 2, which on release came with a much needed and long-awaited performance upgrade for Scarlet and Violet. No longer do we have to avoid the Tag Tree Thicket and Castle Royale Lake, as we can not only play in 60 FPS, but with a significantly larger pool of wild Pokemon to see on the map. With the hardware upgrade, we're now able to see 36 wild Pokemon on screen at once without any performance issues, which not only livens up the entire environment, but also dramatically increases the amount of shinies that we can find.
Oh wait, I can actually, on the Switch 2, I can kind of tell the difference. It's really minimal, but I can kind of tell. Wow, there it is. That's really underwhelming, I'm gonna be honest with you.
With 2 more found in the cave, I was able to find shiny Gauntlet and Golurk in the polar biome as well, all within 4 hours of roaming around. While I was definitely enjoying myself here, I once again had to go on another trip the following weekend from GoFest, but I was adamant about getting as much done as I possibly could. And what better way to casually hunt than to go for more egg? I was invited to the Pokemon North American International Championship in New Orleans, and because I wasn't competing, I figured that I have a good amount of downtime to hang around the venue, and egg hatching was by far the easiest thing I could do without having to do too much thinking. The day before my flight, I streamed setting up Darumaka eggs, as this is arguably one of the least huntable Pokemon in this entire gen, with a game plan of farming as many eggs as I could so I could have an entire weekend of uninterrupted. Okay, well, there goes my hunt for the weekend. I haven't even started the counter. I'm on egg number 3. On the upside, it evolved, so my dream wasn't completely dead. So I hatched a few more on stream and then farmed some right before my flight. And I figured that before I landed, I would have enough saved up for... I'll just find something else to do. After spending some time at the venue with friends and checking out the competitive scene, I couldn't help but notice that one aspect of this event was staring me down every time that I passed it: the demo kiosks. While I've definitely experienced enough Scarlet and Violet in this video, this was a different story. Because the demo of these games is quite literally the entire game, the idea of shiny hunting one of the final members I needed was just too good of an idea to pass up. I figured that Cryogonal was probably the most unique one that I could go for, but with how rare it is to spawn in these games, I figured this would just be a fun little thing to attempt anyways.
Oh,
Was that it?
yeah.
Wow.
Let's go. Let's go. Hey.
That's crazy. Not to really spoil anything, but this was by far the best thing that I have found over the course of this entire challenge. Not only was this thing found at full odds, but the fact that this was at an event as special as this one really made me appreciate how unified the community is when it comes to shiny hunting. For such a competitive event, seeing how many casual shiny hunters were doing their own grinds was such a nice motivation to push through one of the longest challenges that I've done to date on this channel. And while I was definitely content with what I had achieved this weekend, there was still one Pokemon that evaded me. Because I was on a hot streak with the Masuda eggs, I decided that Heatmore was destined to be another one, and on the final evening of the event, I spent the night shiny hunting with all of my friends in a hotel lobby, where many shinies were found, and while I was pretty confident that I wouldn't find one, just seeing others reach their goals made the grind just as exciting.
My least favorites were like 13.
Oh!
That's crazy.
Which egg was that?
I don't even know. That was like 32 or something like that. It's quiet.
Yeah, you should have stayed quiet about that method shiny.
Yeah, no, I know.
With nearly 90% of the decks completed in this challenge, it was time to say goodbye and head home for the final grind, which meant that I needed to hunt the 2 most important Pokemon in the entire gen. So let's get this out of the way. I love Reshiram and Zekrom. While I've had a rocky relationship with the Gen 5 games, from the moment that I laid my eyes on the box art, I knew that they were one of my favorites. Can't say that about their shinies. I'm not sure if it's because Game Freak was starting their shiny locking era, or they were just about to clock out, but I feel like so much more could have been done here. And I want to note that the 2D versions are almost perfect with the radiation effect on their tails. I just think somewhere that got lost in translation. So for the duration of this duel hunt, I wasn't really too picky about what showed up first. I was just hoping that it was a little cooler than I had imagined. Because I think out of all of the Gen 3 games, that's the fastest game. Oh, wait! Look, I recognize that immediately. Okay, that looks way more noticeable. Now that it's close up, I get it. Type 1 if you're getting bored. Man, we should go play something else. We should go play a different game. Oh, I guess, no, we'll keep playing, I guess. With a hunt as fast as this one, I kind of figured that it would lead to an over-odds hunt. But after assessing the situation, I realized that this was probably the least of my worries. Oh! Wow! Wow, that was really noticeable. Did you see my neuron activation? Let's get a little instant replay on that. That is true neuron activation gaming right there. I hated on Reshiram
pretty much this entire time, this may look better than Zekrom. You need a Reshiram impression? I got you. You should start a YouTube channel. Emily, write that down. Pretend like you're not interested. I feel like we've done this bit so many times. I don't think it applies anymore. Reshiram, you will get a brand new 2025 Ford Focus if you stay in the ball right now. I shouldn't have to give you incentives. I really shouldn't have to give you incentives. With another happy contestant on Let's Waste John's Time, it was time to clean up all the remaining methods that I had scattered across this challenge, starting with DexNav. I decided to go for Trubbish above Slateport, and the only thing that I could truly say from this is whatever good luck I had for this method was definitely compensated for, as the first one took over 9 hours to appear, only for the second one to appear 30 minutes later, so I'm not really sure which part I should complain about here. Well, I would love to say that the luck turned around by this weekend. Pokeradar was significantly worse. On the first day, I streamed for nearly 6 hours and didn't get a single good chain, and it's important to note this patch is arguably one of the better locations to grind in this game, and when I had to track down both Shelmet and the Carablast lines, I definitely had my work cut out for me. I realized I couldn't multitask with this on stream, so I strapped in to get all of them over the weekend, and to the surprise of absolutely no one, all 4 shinies required me to get to a 40 chain. So needless to say, I'm kinda set on doing Pokeradar for a little while. With the end in sight for this challenge, there were still quite a few big hunts that needed to be taken on, but as I mentioned earlier, Friend Safari has been an integral part of completing this challenge, and with over half of the remaining members that we need being in these games, I knew that I really had to commit to tracking them down. Before jumping in, I realized I had 2 more open spaces in Scarlet and Violet before I reached my cap, so I quickly caught the rest of the Timber line, leaving me with exactly 10 Pokemon left on my list. Now, unlike the previous Safari attempts, I had a stronger game plan, to the point that for a little bit of time, it was impossible to get anything but a Gen 5 Pokemon. One unfortunate feature of the Friend Safari is that currently you can only access 2 of the 3 slots if you add someone new, as the third would originally only unlock if both of you were connected to 3DS servers while playing X and Y. Fortunately, I was able to take care of all of that before the servers shut down, but for this situation, that's actually a good thing. Through my Discord, I was able to add a Steel-type Safari, and because the first 2 slots are Ferocity and Clang, I realistically could find both of these lines without initially having to worry about phasing. I mean, you guys know Roach Reveal. Oh my! That's a rare guy right there. Oh! All right, that's another one down. I ended the stream with the inevitable phase of a shiny Clang, but off stream I found my final Ferocity, which meant that I had already finished a huge chunk of what I needed here. But as you can imagine, the rest are not as kind. The next morning I set up a double rock safari with the only goal being a single Dwebble. So I knew that based on the events of the Friend Safari weekend, we were going to find it, but I was definitely going to have to work for it. And what better way to keep the chat entertained during the long grinds than by having one of my favorite stream conversations. Food. You ever just really want one thing and you won't stop thinking about it until you have it? It's almost like music. I need to listen to that song so it goes away. There was one day I woke up, this was like, I don't know, 4 months ago. I woke up and for an entire day, I craved ham salad. Jay, you know how many times I've had a ham salad sandwich in my life? Once. And I didn't really remember what it tasted like. I went to the store and I bought ham salad. I made the sandwich and I took one bite and I was like, but I already committed to making it that I had to finish. Wow, that's pretty lucky. All right, I'm not mad at that. I don't want to name this thing ham salad, that's for sure. So all we need now, chat, is Sandile. We need 2 Sandile, and as I mentioned before, statistically, it is easier to get one than it was to get Dwebble. Dwebble was the least likely thing for us to get there, and we end up getting it. And so I would like to think that we are probably gonna get dealt a bad hand. You can SR for Venipede and X and... Sandile, I'm talking. That's what I'm talking about, baby. That's the big gaming we're looking for. In the span of an hour, I'd managed to get every single Friend Safari shiny that I needed without a single phase. Because I obviously wanted to stream more, I began the final Masuda hunt for Venipede. I know, we had to find it at some point. Because I figured we were going to be stuck on the 3DS for a few more days, I wasn't even remotely prepared for this. To the point where I didn't even have the Pokemon and I had to make an entire detour through the Isle of Armor to hunt one down. After finding some shinies in a completely different game, I began my hunt knowing my fate across the absurd list of under-odds Masuda hunts in this generation was looming, which meant that everything needed to be in tip-top shape. Can you fix your mirror? Oh, yeah, no, my mirror's all messed up. Yeah, that's way better.
That's a full-size original iPod. Jebediah Rock standing at a proud 5 inches tall.
I may be small.
I honestly believe there's something with the Switch too. All 4 of the Masuda hunts that I've done on this Switch, every single one combined is not even half odds. And it's one of those things, chat, where I'm really glad that I am live collecting the eggs. That does not look very believable, and I understand that, but that is crazy. So if you've been keeping track, we have 3 Pokemon left, arguably some of the most important Pokemon in the entirety of Unova. But this number isn't entirely true, as only 2 of them exist at this point. For nearly 15 years, Victini has been trapped in the shiny locked realm, as not even through events or special distributions has this Pokemon ever been shiny. Now I'm sure you're going to find this misleading that I didn't actually catch every single shiny in this gen, but to prepare you for the future, due to how many Pokemon are shiny locked, this is going to be a recurring theme. So I made a new game plan. For any shinies that aren't obtainable while I'm working on a certain generation, I'll just add them to whatever generation I'm working on when the time comes around to their release. If I just waited around for them to appear, we would have only had like 2 more gens to make videos on, and despite Gen 5 taking forever to finish, I really enjoy putting these together. Do we have any information as to when it's going to be released? Not really, but odds are they'll just throw it into the next Pokemon Home update, which is the subject of the next shiny that we have to go for. As I was spending my days hatching the starters 5 months ago, an update to Pokemon Home added 2 new shinies to grind for, Meltan and Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, and for the first time ever, shiny Keldeo. Just like Meloetta, the process for this one requires you to deposit an entire Pokedex from Sword and Shield, but I didn't have the intention of doing another challenge to work my way towards that. That was ready to be done, but that didn't mean we could instantly redeem it. Galar Pokedex, everybody. I'm missing 21. 21's not bad. That's fine. So that evening, I made an entire spreadsheet of every single location for all the Pokemon that I needed, and in comparison to the other Pokedexes that I've worked on, this was a walk in the park. There were a few semi-tedious ones that need to be obtained through breeding and by playing specific versions, but I was able to do some big brain strategies for a lot of the difficult ones, like the trait evolutions, by sending them to Legends to cut down a bunch of time. After about 2 hours of gaming and 50 some odd new Pokemon, I could officially say that we had obtained the final mythical of this generation. I have brought over every single Pokemon from Sword and Shield, we have caught the entirety of it, and we have got every single Pokemon, and it only took like 2 hours, which is like, that's not that bad in the scale. Like Meloetta, that definitely wasn't 2 hours, let me tell you. All right, and if we scroll all the way down, as you can see, here is our Meloetta that we got in February when we started the challenge. That's unfortunate to think about. Wow! Check your gift box in Pokemon Home for mystery gifts. Inside of our gift box, we will now have our shiny Keldeo. We have finally got it. Not bad at all, chat. Which leaves us with 1 more Pokemon that we need. Where's the best place to have horse lore? Wait, I can recreate man. Although there are a lot of significant Pokemon in this generation, personally, there really isn't one that's considered as the big one. In previous generations, it was Celebi due to rarity and Arceus due to it being a god, and while the original dragon would have definitely been the Pokemon for this generation, the closest thing that we have to it is just a fragment of it. Kyurem is going to be the final stop in this endless journey, and despite my feelings toward Black 2, White 2 as a child, seeing those fusions for the first time was an unforgettable experience. The concept of fusing Pokemon together to create a new one was nothing but rumors at that point in the franchise, and the fact that they're kind of meant to look broken makes them so unique, and there really hasn't been anything like that since. It hasn't happened since. So because I was only really getting started with the stream, I decided just to jump right into the final hunt, ready for the big finale. And you're probably wondering, John, what insane way are you going to go get Kyurem? Well, chat, I'm happy to announce, we're dual hunting it in Ultra Sun and Moon. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding? You thought I was gonna do something absurd? Chat, we've been doing this for 5 months. Do you think I was like, oh, let's do something crazy? No, chat, I'm done. I want to go to bed. So I began the last hunt for this ice dragon, and let me tell you, the feeling of being at the end of this was unreal. This is easily the most roller coaster video that I ever worked on in terms of challenge, adventure, and absurd moments, and while in the moment I was dying to be done, I was also sad to go. I really do try to pour everything into these videos, and this truly was such a daunting experience with all the new things I learned along the way, so I did my best to enjoy these final moments as much as I could. Oh, there is no way! We've done it! Is that not the same amount of encounters that was for Arceus? It was 128? Okay, that would have been crazy. New ball, everybody. We need a new ball. Mostly because we're running out. We've done it! And with that, chat, I can successfully say that we have caught Kyurem and every Gen 5 Pokemon. We have got Kyurem.
the first Kyurem. Did you guys think it was gonna be that easy? Come on now. There's Kyurem white and then there's Kyurem black. Of course, we're going to catch 2 Kyurem to end the video. Let's be honest with ourselves. This is not enough, especially that many encounters. Are we really satisfied? I'm not. I don't know about you. So with my secret 3rd copy of Ultra Sun, I jumped right into hunting down the 2nd one, and to the surprise of no one, this was not nearly as fast. I managed to get another 200 encounters by the end of stream, but I knew that realistically tomorrow was going to be the end of the challenge. I woke up early and immediately jumped into hunting with the obvious game plan of streaming all day, and while this was the main thing on our minds, so was the upcoming Pokemon Presents. While I really don't care too much for the endless rumor mill of this community, I do love hearing what people want to see in these games, and mine was definitely something that I was extremely hopeful for. If I could ask for anything to be presented at the Pokemon Presents, it would be that. It doesn't have to be like, oh, today we're doing an upgrade for the games. I would love for them to be like, hey, just letting you know in the future, we're going to be giving enhanced versions of all of the Pokemon games that were originally on the Switch. Yeah, it's also not just a Pokemon thing. They could do it for so many games. Imagine Splatoon at 60 FPS. Because isn't Splatoon 3, didn't that get an upgrade? I don't think what one's got an upgrade. I think Splatoon was one of them. Are you kidding? That's nuts! That is absolutely absurd! We did it! Yes! You were here! Okay, I just poked my soundbar. That's not good. I just poked it right off my desk. Oh, it looks even better the 2nd time. Skill swap. Absolutely nuclear luck, chat. Like, that's insane. Oh yeah, because this is gonna be Kyurem Black, and so I bought a bunch of nest balls. This is gonna take forever. Why not Dusk? You know what, just to entertain it? I don't have one. That was a good suggestion though. That was a really good one. We love good ideas. Hey, I mean, like, this is at least a little bit more exciting than the first one, right? At least it's putting up an effort to not be caught. I just want to get it in a green ball. Chat, this is it, the final ball. That's so stupid. Because I know what's gonna happen next. I'm not dumb. Kyurem hates you like my ex hates me. What do you want me to do with that information? I got your just in time. There were some chatters who said that 25 minutes ago. Come on. Yes. We're free! God, that was so bad. But we're finally done with this video. My goodness, what a finale. I had a nickname at the beginning of this battle, it's gone. Terra Frost. Because it's frozen and it has the ability Terravolt. That sucks. You're just jealous you don't have one. All right, chat. Nature guesses. Gentle? There's not a gentle thing about you. This could not be further from the truth. Well, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna send all of these to Pokemon Home. Where is the coolest place to see these Pokemon? Okay, so first thing we're going to do is let's just see them in game. This is a regular Reshiram. Let's check out a shiny one. Oh, they look so good. So good. Regular Zekrom? I don't think the shiny Zekrom's that different. It is, and it's better. It's still good. And shiny Kyurem, of course. Looks awesome. And all 3 of these are fantastic, right? No complaints, but there are better versions of all of these Pokemon. I think we're gonna check that out right now. DNA splicers. First one we use it on. Let's do Kyurem White. Oh! Oh! Oh, it looks so good! Oh man, that's sick. That's insane. This is going to be Kyurem Black, which is, in my opinion, I haven't even seen it yet. It's gonna be the best one. I lied. I lied. I think we need to see it in battle because it turns green. Oh! Oh my God! Look! Holy! Oh, that's sick! That is absurd! How cool that looks! I didn't even know it floated. Okay, well, we need to check out Kyurem White then, because we did not do that one justice. Oh my god, it's so sick. It's so good. Well, we're all done, chat. That's the end of this video. We've caught every Gen 5 Pokemon and then some. Normally, I find a silly little bit to sneak in at the end of these videos, but I just want to say thank you for watching. This video took astronomically longer than I would have ever thought possible, but I truly hope that you liked it as much as I did. I promise the next one won't take nearly as long, and if you have any interest on checking out the next adventure that I go on, you can find me on Twitch, where I can assure you it's one that you don't want to miss. Have a great day, and I'll catch you on the next one.